NCIS star Mark Harmon just made a surprise confession about a very different career path. Plus, NCIS sparks a frenzy as fans demand that Gibbs comes back after a crossover nod. Did you know that NCIS star Mark Harmon may never have starred in the show? Yep, true story. Fans of NCIS know Harmon as Leroy Jethro Gibbs.
I wanted to say thank you, Leon.
A character he's played for roughly 20 years. However, the father of two almost followed a very different career path, and he's just revealed his dream job wasn't acting at all. Can you guess what Harmon's dream job was?
I didn't think about it. I was just walking with my wife, and we were looking in windows and doing what you do. And
believe it or not, during a recent interview, Harmon said that he would have been a carpenter if he wasn't an actor. Do you know why Harmon chose to be an actor instead of a carpenter? Because he couldn't get hired. When asked what he'd be doing today if he wasn't an actor, Harmon said, "I'd be a carpenter. I tried to do that, but I just couldn't get hired. I enjoyed getting up and doing that in the morning. I enjoyed the drive to work. To me, it was about the materials and doing right. And if you did right, the project outlasted you. I still enjoy carpentry, but I think that's probably what I would have been trying to do had I not been acting." Mark is married to actress Pam Dauber, and after his time on NCIS, he left the show in 2021. Season 19 marked his final season, and for a special featurette on the show's Season 19 DVD release, Harmon opened up about his reasons for leaving the show and the legacy of Leroy Gibbs. Did you know why Harmon loved to play Gibbs for so long?
I'm not going back, Dan. Well, that too. I'm not going back home.
It's because he loved to tackle fresh and challenging material. That's what kept Harmon returning to the drama every season. In the end, Harmon felt that after nearly 2 decades on the show, this was no longer the case. However, following Harmon's departure, showrunner Steve Bender released a statement suggesting that Gibbs could make a comeback in future seasons. Bender's statement read, "As an executive producer and dear friend, Mark continues to be an integral part of the fabric of the show. Our North Star has always been staying true to characters, and that truth has always guided the stories we tell and where those characters go." So, regarding the future of Gibbs, as longtime fans of the show may have noticed over the years, never count Leroy Jethro Gibbs out. And of course, Bender's statement sparked a frenzy of fan speculation that Gibbs would be making his triumphant return. For a while now, NCIS fans have demanded that bosses reprise the characters of Gibbs after he was mentioned during the franchise's epic 3-way crossover event. CBS loves doing NCIS crossovers, and fans were super stoked to see the agents work together. But it didn't take long for fans to hop on social media and plead their case for the return of Jethro Gibbs. The 3-hour crossover extravaganza saw all of the beloved teams unite: NCIS, NCIS Hawaii, and NCIS LA. All of the teams were in town to attend an FLETC professor's retirement party, but the celebrations take an ominous turn when it's revealed that the professor is dead. Fearing that something nefarious is going on, the agents band together, and they quickly discover that Simon Williams, a rogue CIA agent who was part of a covert CIA hit squad, is the mastermind behind the professor's death. But when the crossover event shifts to the different offices, fans are thrilled to hear the mention of Mark Harmon's beloved former special agent Leroy Gibbs. Gibbs was first mentioned by actor Sean Murray's character McGee, who also revealed that he had lunch with the late professor and that he seemed happy. Actor Wilmer Valderrama, who plays Torres, is heard saying happy, like Gibbs is in Alaska, working on the assumption that Gibbs also knew the professor. Actor Katrina Law's character Knight asked any chance of Gibbs showing up to the party, but McGee had his doubts and responded, "The professor did mention that Gibbs and him went on a few fishing trips back in the day." Knight was hopeful, thinking there's a chance, but Knight was immediately shut down by actor Rocky Carroll's Vance, who confirmed that a body had been found. As the crossover episode progressed, the NCIS team argued about Gibbs and his list of rules after Torres brought up rule number 3, always double check, but McGee replied, "You don't have to quote Gibbs' rules to me, he and I go way back." The case eventually leads the agents to Gibbs' Alaskan retreat because they assume the professor hid a flash drive there, but unfortunately, that's when things get really hairy, and someone starts shooting at them. Knight asks, "Think Gibbs came back from Alaska and doesn't know it's us?" Torres reminds Knight that if it were Gibbs firing the shots, they would all be dead, but the constant mention of Gibbs' name, combined with showrunner Steve Bender's statement, was all it took for the internet to blow up like a block of C4. And fan speculation on various social media platforms, Twitter in particular exploded. One person tweeted, "I love the Gibbs mention they tossed in. Hope to have Mark back soon for a cameo." Another fellow fan tweeted desperately, "NCIS, please bring back Gibbs." One Twitter user who had seemingly run out of patience wrote, "Okay, all these Gibbs references are working on my nerves, just like the one about Ziva. If you're bringing Gibbs back, just do it." For those of you in the United States, NCIS Season 20 continues on Mondays, and for our UK friends, Season 20 of NCIS premiered on Wednesday, January 18th on Disney+. The three-way crossover event was one of the best we've ever seen, but now we're going to take a look at some of NCIS's most epic crossover moments.
Family.
Well, we didn't say anything.
You didn't have to. Word travels.
And since we are extended family, we are happy to help Parker in any way that we can.
The NCIS three-way crossover created drama among its agents, which led to tensions between various series leads. NCIS's Timothy McGee butts head with NCIS LA's Sam Hanna and G. Callan about protocols, but the tension only escalated when the pair from Los Angeles arrested McGee for treason. McGee quickly cleared himself of any wrongdoing, but his arrest added some much-needed conflict. And let's not forget Casey Hines getting all worked up and trying to ban Hanna from her lab.
If this was anyone else, you would bring them into interrogation as a murder suspect.
Did you kill Otis?
No, of course not.
Then why aren't you telling us why your
I
fingerprints...
will. In interrogation.
If there's one thing we know about Casey Hines is that she's very protective over her lab, and did you know that the NCIS crossover established its chain of command? Longtime NCIS director Leon Vance is in charge of all three teams, but the crossover created the question about the chain of command beneath him. NCIS Hawaii's lead Jane Tennant did something without Hanna and Callan's permission, and they tried to say that she didn't have the authority, but NCIS boss Alden Parker called them out for their mistake. You see, Tennant wasn't just the supervisor of her team, she's the special agent in charge of the entire Pacific Rim. In other words, Tennant outranks everyone.
Anton, you want to see Moscow again?
Indeed.
Then why don't all the men with guns back off?
Except for Vance. Another thing the NCIS crossover did was shine a light on Gerald McRaney's Kilbride. The CIA was well represented during the NCIS crossover, we know that. Tennant, Callan, Hanna, and Hetty were all former operatives. However, most of the spotlight was shined on Gerald McRaney's character Hollis Kilbride.
This world that you like more than your work here and talking incessantly.
Kilbride was targeted because of his time in the CIA. He was part of the Simon Williams project, and someone clearly didn't want him testifying about the project getting hijacked. So what did the epic crossover event boil down to? The entire 3-hour event came down to a hostage situation before the villain was shot dead by Kilbride. And is it just me, or are Kilbride's sniping skills on Gibbs level? Very impressive. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Those were some of the best NCIS crossover moments, and we'll see you in the next video.